Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. We've got some fantastic questions for you today. We're going to jump to them in just a moment. But before we do, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, satisfy the YouTube Ninja Robot so that we can get the Kendo population grown to 372.4 million gazillion quadrillion people in the next 15 nanoseconds, okay? That's how it works, All right, leave a comment down below using the word Kendo. What fantastic Kendo videos, the best Kendo channel I've ever seen in my life. Something like that. Okay, and that should do the trick, okay? Secondly, if you like the show, whether it's these videos that I put up, whether it's the analytical videos, the feedback videos, the interviews I put up. You see the interview I did with Yuki Ogata Sensei? What a brilliant interview that was. If you haven't seen that, you should go and watch it. You really should. And of course, instructional content. I've got brand new instructional content coming very, very soon. It's already in the early access group. If you want to see it already, there's a link in the description where you can join the early access Facebook group. It's free to join. And it's a video about how to strike successful kote waza. So you can go and see that now. It's coming out on Monday here live on YouTube. So yeah, if you like all that stuff, it's very easy to support. It's a real win-win actually. Because all you have to do to keep it going is shop at KendoStar.com. KendoStar is the best Kendo equipment website in the universe, galaxy, Milky Way, everything. History, future of the human race. Of course I would say that because I own the place, but everybody agrees with me, okay? We're the best at what we do. Best equipment, delivered with the best possible service. Don't buy twice, buy right first time round, and shop at KendoStar.com. Before I jump in as well, I'm going to mention our seminar. Not put a picture here, but I should have done a picture about the seminar. I talked a minute ago about the interview that I've got coming up. Not coming up, sorry. The interview that is already up on YouTube with Yuki Ogata Sensei, and the amazing Mari Suenaga Sensei. Both of these fantastic 7th Dan senseis are former members of the Japanese national team, All Japan champions. Yuki Sensei is the current All Japan women's 7th Dan champion. And look, I don't even need to introduce Mari Suenaga Sensei, do I? Both of these fantastic senseis are coming to Manchester in the UK to teach a brilliant seminar in June. The dates are 21st and 22nd of June. That is off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah, 21st, 22nd of June. There's a link in the description to book your place. There are still places available, but they are filling up fast. Come to Manchester, fantastic city. It's a great venue that we've got where you're going to be able to enjoy and learn Kendo from these fantastic world-class senseis. That is Yuki and Mari in Manchester, okay, this June. All right, get signed up, link down below. Right, okay, let's get to these questions. First one, sorry, I am sort of on the back of a sort of cold, so I'm sort of still a little bit like blocked up in the back, so that's why I might sound a bit strange or struggling to talk a little bit. So I'm always struggling when I'm doing these videos. I do realise that I'm always coughing or doing this sort of thing because I struggle with hay fever allergies, I get colds and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, hello Fish Sensei. At our club, one of our kohai faced a leg injury and they're going to be training feet reversed, left foot in front for the foreseeable future. That opens the question if taking Jodan is an option for them. Of course, in the case our sensei agrees and they themselves want to give it a go. The problem is, however, that the person in question is still quite early in their Kendo journey, early Q ranks, and because of that, it'd be too early for them to take Jodan under normal circumstances. If nothing else, Jodan in Q grading would definitely raise some eyebrows. To my understanding, the other option would be to be doing Jodan with reverse footwork, Would that be a better option for now, considering that the person in question does not have the level of basics normally expected before taking on the Jodan journey? How are similar situations usually handled? So, it's quite a rare situation, but I have seen it before. Many years ago, here in the UK, the sort of main club that I practiced at when I lived down in London, one of the students there, they basically started, and I think it was for a similar reason, entirely from left Jodan with their left foot in front. They took their IQ, they took their Jodan, both using Jodan. They passed it with no problem. But then obviously a lot of attention and care was taken to make sure that they were taught the basics properly. And they also were very, very committed. So I think there's a few people that are involved in this decision, and one of them isn't me, but first is the individual, okay? How do they feel about it? How do they feel about staying in Jodan or going to Jodan? If they're happy to stay in Jodan, there's nothing really to stop them staying in Jodan and just reversing the feet. I've seen someone do that before as well. Obviously, it might be a little bit of a challenge for the teacher, but it's not, you know, it's not the end of the world. It's not difficult. It's not that difficult. Excuse me. It's certainly possible. Or if they want to go to Jodan, then that's obviously, you're going to have to look at the whole bigger picture at that point. How does the teacher feel about that? And realistically, in the situation you're in, how is that going to, is that going to result in sort of a negative situation when it comes to gradings and stuff? Now, look, if I sat on an IQ panel or Jodan panel or anything similar to that, and like the person came out and they was doing Jodan, of course I'm going to at first be a little bit surprised that someone at this level is doing Jodan, but then I'm going to assess the facts that are in front of me. So if they're meeting the criteria, they're still going to pass. I'm not going to fail them based on the fact that they're doing Jodan or whatever. All right. So my sort of, yeah, I think it'd be overly harsh for anyone to fail someone just because they're doing Jodan at a specific level. So yeah, having said that, if they're going to go straight to Jodan, there's a lot of stuff at once that they're going to have to sort of, you know. I don't know though. I mean, I guess there's an argument for both, right? So if they're going to do Jodan but with reverse feet, the only thing they have to kind of really be concerned about is that their footwork will be opposite to everyone else, but everything else will be the same. For the most part, if they're going to do Jodan from the beginning, then not everything, but almost everything's going to be very different to everybody else, which could be a bigger challenge. So yeah, I think it's really going to be a case of this individual needs to talk with the teacher and decide what is the best course of action for everybody involved in this situation before committing to one or the other, is how I see it. Okay. Next one. Happy Sensei, your comment on Tuesday, Kendo, Wednesday dancing resonated with me. It wasn't actually my comment, but it was a quote from someone else. But yes, I understand. I'm wanting to be more serious in Kendo, but my dojo practice is only once a week. Do you recommend any certain routine to do outside the dojo? Start training Kendo more seriously. Thank you. I've been in this situation. When I first started Kendo, my dojo only practiced once a week, and I was really, really keen to improve at Kendo. I wanted to take Kendo really seriously. So yeah, I had to do Suburi at home basically, and a lot of Mitori Geiko, like watching Kendo, absorb what I was watching, try to get a mental image of what the Kendo I wanted to do would look like, so that when I had that once a week, I could really focus on those 2 hours that I had to try to emulate what I'd seen. Now, I didn't tend to do a great job of it, but that's what I had to do. At least until the dojo started practicing another time a week, or what I'd have to do is sometimes I'd have to do my best to try and travel to another dojo, which might be an hour or two away. If that's an option, and that might not be something I could do every week, but maybe I would do it once a month. There was one dojo that we'd go to once a month. I'd, you know, get together with some other guys from my dojo, and we'd sort of make a group trip once a month over to another dojo. Is like 2.5 hours away, because they had a higher grade, like the highest grade sensei in the area there at the time. So that's all you can do, all right. But don't sleep on Mitori Geiko, all right. You've got fantastic facilities and resources at your fingertips now with YouTube. So get on to watching Kendo, watch some Kendo videos, watch some, Japanese Kendo, and try to get an image of what the Kendo you want to do looks like, and then try to burn that into your brain so you can take it to the dojo and do your best to emulate it or copy it, okay? Okay, this is a great question. I like this one. I saw this one on Facebook. Recently, one of our dojo senseis was out for an extended period here in Japan. Another sensei has been doing an awesome job in his place, and the substitute lead instructor is one of my mentors and helped me pass several of my grading exams. So I'm guessing here, so it says quite clearly here, you are training in Japan. Okay. After the class, he came up to me and pointed out that I tie my men himo very low, and I'm tall, 194 centimeters, with long, skinny but small head, and often tie close to the base of my hairline on my neck, as in example A. He said that I should tie it close to the knot to the back of my skull, about where the top of my ears are. I've tried it several times and it just feels uncomfortable, and perhaps I'm so used to tying it low. Many of the Japanese men I practice with tie it like him. They also have, no offense intended, larger heads than I do, and have a large flat spot on the back of their head. Is there reasoning for this, or just maybe something he was taught? All right, this is a fantastic question, and it's something I want to talk about a bit more, especially being in the industry I'm in. Let me grab a graphic, all right? Let me grab a graphic. I think it's okay for me to share it on here. Just be back in a sec. Okay, so I'm back. Right. So this is a graphic, a picture from a burger shop called Shobudo in Tokyo. Okay. And I'm sharing it on this page, on this channel, sorry, because the Shobudo are a friend of KendoStar, I'm happy to say, and that is something that you'll be hearing a little bit more of in the near future. But this is an excellent diagram of how the men should correctly be worn and how it should correctly fit. Okay, so as you can see, the himo should be tied at the height of the monomi. Okay, that's where your eyes are. All right, and it should form a triangle like this. All right, now obviously it's based on tying in the standard way, and then the shape of your mendare, when looked at from the side, should follow this red line like this. So it should come out like this. All right. And a well-made man would have this blue line here, all right? This would be the sort of curve of the men. This is oh, sorry, I'm just seeing that my cursor's not showing, but here, all right? But this is something that's generally mainly comes from made-to-order men. But this is where your mendare want to be, and this yellow triangle is where the shape of the himo, basically. It wants to be at the height of your eyes, all right? So as that goes, it's generally B, all right? So it's a little bit lower than B. It's where the monomi is. Yeah, the wider bar where your eyes are should be at the height of your eyes, all right? Now, don't get me wrong. I know that it's not that easy to tie it that way, especially if you are used to tying it the way where I was taught at the very beginning to tie it at the base of my skull, right? So when I was you know, doing Kendo the first few years, I tied it at the base of my skull, right? And then that's what ends up in what they call the taco men, all right, which looks like a taco. Taco is octopus. It looks like the outline of an octopus, all right? It's not good. All right, it's not good, and it's not how the men is designed to protect you either, because it leaves the men that is sitting flat against your shoulders. They should sit forward of your shoulders, all right, so that there's a cushion if you get hit. So yeah, it's important that you tie it in the right place. Now, you're not. I don't think it's offensive. It is. I can tell you from a professional standpoint, as a person that sells Kendo men for a living, okay, that Japanese and sort of Asian people, on average, have a larger men's size than Westerners tend to. All right. Okay. Well, that's in general. Of course, there are exceptions. All right. Excuse me. So, and also, it is generally true that they tend to have a flatter head at the back. All right. Whereas we have a rounder head. All right. A rounder head. Mine's a little bit flat there, but I think that's my hair. Right. But our head's a little bit rounder. Now, I've heard that the reason for that is to do with how we're put to bed when we're babies. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know, and I don't much care. But it can be harder when your head's rounder to tie your head here, your men here, because it tends to want to slip down, like, because it's curved here, like that. All right. But with practice, you can do it. All right. With practice, you can definitely do it. So, like, if I bring up, like, there's a picture of, let's see, have I got a picture? Here's a picture. This is one of our advertising assets here, right? I don't think you can see that. This is a picture of me wearing a Sentinel men. All right. So from the front, yeah, it looks like this slightly. Okay, like this. Oh, can you see? Like this. Yeah, this line. All right, this line, like that. Okay, so that this has space behind it. There's air behind the mendare, so it can protect you. Okay. Comes with practice, not so easy. Okay. Right. Hi, Sensei Andy. I've come to realize that even though I've been trying hard physically in training, I haven't been shown real respect. Okay. I get frustrated, often inwardly, not truly accepting strict criticism. I didn't recognize it as guidance to help me improve. Instead, I was silently resisting and, without meaning to, being disrespectful. After speaking with a young sensei at our club, I saw the truth. The issue wasn't the training or the feedback, it was my attitude. I think this is a realization lots of people have, to be honest. Kendo is forcing me to confront parts of my personality that aren't always easy to admit, and it's uncomfortable, but necessary. I now see that my mindset may have made things harder for those trying to help me, and that's not the kind of Kendo Koto person I want to be. How can someone like me begin to shift their mindset so I can show more respect, accept correction with humility, and learn without taking things too personally? It's a good question, and I don't really know the answer, but I do know that you're not alone. All right? I think this is a very common mindset. I've certainly experienced it. And I do think it is very prevalent, especially in sort of Western cultures I've seen. Something I've definitely experienced a lot, since coming back to the UK. Because I think we have an estimated sense of ourself, and what is genuinely given as help and advice and feedback, because it conflicts with one's own perception of ourselves, in that we are, too good to be told this, or don't deserve to be told that. Why do I have to have this said to me? Results in this kind of this attitude. I think it's a problem, to be honest. I think it's a problem in integrating Kendo into Western cultures. Actually, I really do. And I'm saying that as somebody that's been in this position. But I think the only way through it is, the only way out of it is to realise, is to humble yourself and realise that none of us are really special, you know. I think I realised this when I met people in Kendo, whether they were competitors or senseis who were superstar legends in my eyes, but from their own conduct, they didn't act as if they were something special or deserved special treatment, or, you know, they're very humble. They're very humble. And I think the true path to in Kendo is to understand how to understand yourself with humility, and to not, you know, there's a difference, of course. It doesn't mean that you can't be confident in your abilities, because many of those senseis were, but none. I don't think there's any that would that I know of that sort of would act with the kind of arrogance that I've seen, or even that I acted with myself in the past, in response to valid feedback or criticism from someone who's genuinely trying to help you. So yeah, I think it's an issue. I don't know how we can fix it, to be honest. I think there's a bit of an issue with how, like I say, how Kendo, because, you know, of course we can adapt Kendo to like, I'm gonna say, like, we can adapt Kendo to like cater to the kind of modern Western mindset. But then at what stage are we still doing Kendo then, and not just something that resembles it? You know, we could do the whole, you know, everybody's special, everybody's wonderful, and it's not that everybody isn't special, because everybody is special in their own way, of course. I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying that. But you got to remember, Kendo comes from a point of Japanese culture which is based quite a lot on like principles of Buddhism and Shintoism, right? Which is about humbling oneself. And as I said, I really think that that's a key underlying, perhaps not particularly obvious, aspect of Kendo is humbling the self. It's like when you face against the sensei, the high level Hachisan sensei, the hardest thing is to humble yourself and not get carried away with your own ego in trying to just score the points on them. It's really tough. It's really tough. I don't have a solid answer for you, I'm afraid, but all I can say is you're not alone. Next one. Hi, Sensei. Thanks so much for all the great content you put out. I saw an announcement about an upcoming seminar. About the upcoming seminar, yeah. And while I'm genuinely excited, you're organising more of these. I was also a little bummed I won't be able to make this one this time. I totally understand that planning these things is a huge lift and gets complicated fast, but I figured I'd just ask, if you're organising more in the future, any chance you consider giving really early notice, like close to a year? You already gave way more notice than any event I've attended, which I really appreciate, but for some of your global audience like me, it's still tough to plan with time off work and flights. Mine would have cost more than my favourite KendoStar August. And I can be, if I can be wildly specific, if anything ever landed around, I'm not even going to try and face Isle. I don't know how you pronounce that. The Whiskey Festival in late May. That would be an absolute dream. Yeah, I mean, that sounds awesome anyway. Next year is the 40th anniversary, and that'd be amazing to plan a whole trip around it. A week of whiskey after a seminar sounds pretty ideal. Sounds ideal to me too. Totally get that scheduling is complicated, but just wanted to throw the idea out there in case it's possible, and maybe something others are hoping for too. Thanks again for everything you do. Okay, that is a great point to raise, and I appreciate it very, very much. We'll see how this seminar goes in terms of everything, in terms of the organization, and it's proving extremely popular. Tickets are selling very quickly, which is great. But obviously, it has to work out as a success for everybody, including the teachers and the attendees. And it's the first time we've really done something of this scale. But yeah, I would like to do it in the future. I would like to give more notice, and we would have liked to give more notice this time, but it came down to the availability of the teachers. All right, it came down to the availability of the teachers. So we kind of, yeah. That was why it ended up being a little bit shorter notice than I wanted it. But it is what it is. I do really love the idea of trying to find it, maybe next time we do it, trying to find a weekend or whatever, a time that is close to another sort of internationally recognized event, so that people can make the most of the trip here. Because we do already have people from around the world coming to this seminar in Manchester. So yeah, interesting. Great suggestion. Thank you very much. Okay, next one. Hello, Kendo is the one martial art I'm planning to do in my 90s. Do Kendo and plan the same, all of you? Yeah, do Kendo. This message was for all the ninjas. Yeah, excellent. Right, to the question. Another grading, another fail. Oh, well. Now to the fixing. I have a question about something one of my sensei told me. He's told me that one of the reasons I may have failed this time as well was the fact that I looked stiff in the shoulders, and overall my upper body seems a bit stiff. During Subiri, he had noted that my traps are locked up when I swing my shinai up, which after watching myself makes sense. But how does one fix this? I understand that the answer would be to do more Subiri, but I was wondering if there's a way to create a mind-body connection of certain body parts that I must use and relax others. I was told to concentrate on keeping tension in my lower body for it, but with regards to the shinai motion, should I use my lats and triceps to push the shinai? I guess I'm asking if you had any advice on the biomechanics of Kendo, or maybe some good resources on that. It's a difficult one, right? Unfortunately, there isn't a quick, short answer to this. Like, how your question essentially is, how do I not be tense? And the answer is to relax. But it's it's a lot easier said than done, right? So yeah, I think the two things are, yes, do more, and two, I think focusing on the lower body is a good thing to do. I think what all you can do is, as you are swinging the shinai up, I think even without shinai, even just now, if you kind of just imagine just holding the shinai, and just lifting up, just with the shoulders and down, just nice and relaxed, 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 nice and relaxed. See how and it's literally that much effort with the shinai. Just when you come down at the last minute, a little flick, like that, like that. All right. I can't say to you, okay, here's how you tune your mind to your specific muscle grooves. It doesn't work like that. At least not for me. I think you just have to keep trying. And I think it's going to be one of those penny drop moments. And I think the number of times you swing the shinai is sort of correlated to it a bit as well, to be honest. I mean, it's one of the things that really was a changing point for me when I was, you know, earlier in my Kendo career, one of the changing points for me in terms of learning to relax when I swing the shinai was when I was practicing at high school in Japan, and we had to do sort of 40 kirikaishi. So you do the Sayumen 40 times, and we had to do that, and it was like just for 45 minutes solid. And that was really, really hard. And by the end of it, I was feeling pins and needles in my fingertips. It was horrible. Hated it. Really, really tough. But once we finished that, then we had to do the large men uchikomi. And I realized that because I couldn't tense my muscles, because there was no energy to do so, because I was so tired, that my men strikes were getting much, much better. So I do think that it is correlated as well to the number of swings of the shinai. Okay, last one. Hello, Sensei. Is part of teaching intentionally not giving advice or guidance? A sense of, yeah, give it a shot, you're probably wrong, but it's important that you experiment and get things wrong? Or should we guide someone towards the correct answer for the sake of efficiency? In something like Kendo, for the most part, I am not really into this, like, yeah, you're probably wrong, give it a try sort of thing. I prefer to give the guidance if I can. But you have to draw a line as to where the appropriate level of that is, because you can just keep going if you're not, and then they don't ever get to do it. So I have to try, but like, obviously Kendo is a physical activity that involves other people and it involves combat. So without some level of guidance, things could turn dangerous quite quickly. So that's something you have to bear in mind. For me, I think with my students, I'm very much about giving them the guidance, saying, right, here's what you have to do, here's what you have to do, and do this, okay? Now give it a try. Give it a try, watch them, okay, that was really good, here's how you can make it better. Or if I'm happy so far, great, good job, keep doing that, and then let them do that for a while. Once I'm happy that they're starting to get comfortable, then we can start fine-tuning. But I don't think I'm keen on the idea of the, you know, well, just give it a go. You're probably wrong about it, but have an experiment and get it wrong. Because the problem is I think a lot of people, they don't realize when they're getting things wrong. So, you know, like, I understand what you're saying, like, you have to experiment to get things wrong. But I think the problem in Kendo is a lot of people don't realize that what they're doing is wrong. Do you know what I mean? So then what they do is they just end up keep repeating and practicing the wrong thing, and then it becomes a habit, and then it's difficult to break that later. Okay? It's where I stand on that. So there we go. We're at the end of the show. Thank you very much for joining me today. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, satisfy the YouTube Ninja robots. Shop at KendoStar. Sign up for the seminar in Manchester. And see you next time. Bye-bye.